So I want to create, before we start, it's really always the biggest challenge to keep an audience awake after the lunch. So Estelle, where are you now? Can you stand up? It's creating a movement, Estelle. So happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, dear. So celebrating a special day with us is really, it's an honor to be part of your day today, so thank you. So at least you have some excitement without me talking. I'm going to talk about a very serious topic, and it's not going to be as exciting as I was this morning in the panel, because I actually truly have written it out. And before I'm going to tell you about it, it's we've discussed, so let me first tell you my biggest belief is that you need to be positive. So I'm going to tell you something not so positive. But I hope that after you've learned it today, that you will take it back home and that you'll do something about it with your friends, with your fellow female colleagues, fellow female independent contractors, because this is really an important topic to be aware of. Not many people are yet aware, and so I'm going to share it with you. So what's the big secret? So I'm going to ask you, did you recently ask yourself a question about how do you picture yourself in retirement? So listen. So what type of activities, if you retire, do you want to enjoy? And how much money do you actually need in order to realize that vision of your own retirement? So these are questions which are relating both to men, also the back, and women. If your questions to one of these answers no, I'm really going to urge you to start thinking about it today, because it's a serious topic. You might have seen in the news that our pension funds are below what they call the dekkingsgraad. So we have in Holland a very good system. But because of low interest rates, that's also under pressure as we speak. For the female colleagues and for the females in this room, and most importantly, maybe not even you, because I think most of this audience is pretty educated and pretty conscious about their own circumstances, but many other females outside are not, and that's what I'm going to talk about. So financial well-being is central to our overall well-being. It affects the lives we lead and the choices we're able to make. Today at this Rise and Lead Summit, I'd like to bring awareness on this topic of financial well-being, as it is a key issue which is especially impacting women. And I would like to share what women, us, but also employers, can do to help close this retirement savings gap. With the rapid pace of change, growing complexity and rising volatility, many individuals as well as organizations are facing the immense challenges across the globe regarding people and risk. We sit in the middle of some of the most profound changes in our economy. For women, financial well-being can be more challenging to achieve than for men. There are structural and systematic issues to contend with, like the gender wage gap, and the superannuation system that provides greater benefits to full-time workers who don't take parental or carers leave. And as you know, in the Netherlands, we have a huge amount of people working part-time. As we strive towards a more equal and inclusive society, women's long-term financial well-being can benefit enormously from women engaging with their finances. So let us first deep dive in this well-being overall background issue from a macro perspective. In the past months, I've had the opportunity to talk to a number of CEOs around the globe on various occasions, other business leaders, people like yourselves. And all of them, just like us, are aware of all those changes which I just referred to. And they're looking for insight and solutions which can help them to make the right informed, fact-based decisions. So a lot of data. You just mentioned the data and oil. We used to have an oil economy, and out of the top 10 companies of the global world, the biggest corporates, I think out of the top 10 in the past 10 years ago, 3 or 4 were oil companies. Now, in the current top 10 of the largest companies, 3 or 4 are data-driven companies. So it just influences how much and important that is. All of those employers are looking for insights that help him to grow, are looking for insights that help them to perform, and to create profit and to manage volatility. An engaged workforce is key to ensure this. Health and well-being being a topic which is especially now high on the agenda for many employers and independent contractors. The increased focus on issues such as physiological, social and financial well-being is not surprising, as many employers are trying to build and develop people performance and purpose strategies in an increasingly challenging environment with more and more stakeholders to take into account with. Ongoing economic challenges are a given. Other factors include rapidly evolving healthcare models, including the impact of digital health, which actually transcend geographical boundaries. Changing needs and requirements of a multi-generational workforce, more demographic. There have never been so many demographics in the workforce as we see today, over 4 generations, and the desire to improve employee engagement. It's for organizations therefore key to identify the most prominent well-being issues and trends they're facing as they develop their people strategies. In a survey conducted across the EMEA region last year by Aon, attracting and retaining talent was still number one for the number one issue for the survey respondents. However, improving engagement and morale was the second highest survey-wide concern. The positive theme running through this survey is that employers overwhelmingly appear to recognize that there is a correlation between employee health and performance. And so employee health also meaning well-being. And that they have a role to play, and that was 95%, in positively influencing good employee health. Now, what is well-being? So well-being can be described as a state of balance that consists of having the appropriate resources, opportunities, and challenges needed to achieve optimal health and performance for the individual and the organization. And well-being usually is seen as comprising of 4 distinct but interrelated areas. Either emotional, which relates to the quality of your experience, so it can be stress, belonging, or depression. Physical, whether you have enough energy to do the things you're supposed to do. Social, the perception of the quality of your relationships. And last but not least, the topic of today, financial, which is the ability to confidently manage your financial life today while preparing for the future and anything unexpected on the way retirement is going to give you. So I'm talking here about, are you able to manage your finances today? Are you able to manage your finances for the future, for tomorrow? And are you able to manage your finances for a very special day when you want to go on a special trip? What we often don't seem to realize that all of the above, so both emotional, social, physical and financial, have an influence on the company's position financially if not well managed. And women, in this respect, are one of the most volatile groups to take into consideration and to manage, as there are consistent gaps due to lack of diversity and/or not enough inclusion. This might cause emotional stress, social stress, and physical stress, with all consequences to a firm's balance sheet, productivity, and profitability. The use of understanding data and the use of data will help you to manage these issues. The majority of employers, however, still don't have enough budget or not enough data to get the data, not enough budget to have the data to manage this. So what are the challenges in the area of financial well-being? There are many. We've seen a crisis. Many people are still dealing with various forms of debt, do not have sufficient assets for retirements, and face risks that the unexpected life event could create a major financial setback. Financial stress is one of the top drivers of people. And some of you might be aware of the debt students have. At the moment, there is a student debt in the Netherlands of 22 billion euro. And we have seen also an increase of burnouts amongst very young millennials joining firms. And it seems like it's heavily caused by the fact that they're stressed by the fact they have such a burden from a financial perspective. Now, why is financial health, of all those 4 elements of well-being, coming in the spotlight right now? In many ways, today's environment provides the perfect storm in terms of financial well-being. Since the financial crisis, there has been growing financial pressure of employees with 5 main factors driving this pressure. There are globally defined contribution schemes, which are now the norm for retirement savings. So those of you who are from the Netherlands, we used to have defined benefits, and we've now moved to defined contribution. Big difference. There is 0 interest rate at the moment, so the savings are not giving the return on investment we'd hope to see. Boundaries between retirement and other savings are blurring too. Elderly care and medical costs are increasingly picked up by individuals, creating additional pressures on savings. There's also a shift in healthcare and other social costs from the public to the private sector. This is very obviously now to be seen in Spain, where they're moving the healthcare provisions from a model which is based around the NHS, like the NHS construction in the UK, to a more US model, where you actually need to pay for it yourself. I already mentioned the issue of student debt, which is rising in most developed countries around the world. Housing and mortgage costs, deposits are rising also around the world. It's impossible for some of the youngest people to actually afford a house nowadays. Employers are increasingly aware that their employees' well-being, financial well-being, is important in its own right. As employees stressed about money may be absent or present but performing below their best. But also because it has a multiplying impact of other areas of well-being, such as mental and physical health. We had another survey, which was our recent Global Financial Wellbeing Survey, identified that over half of employees want their employer to provide financial well-being support. Now, we're here together with a number of females, so why is financial well-being especially important for women? Many statistics across countries show that women, and this is the positive news, are nowadays better educated, earning more, and living longer than ever before. In the US, for example, 42% of women aged 18 to 64 have a bachelor's degree, up from 25% in 1992, so a huge increase. In the Netherlands, approximately over 50% of the university population graduates is nowadays female. In addition, women are also living on average longer than men. So, we have more life to make more fun and more time to make more fun. In the Netherlands, that's when you're being born today as a female, your average life expectancy is 90 years old. When you're a man, it's 88 years old. And so there are 2 years of difference in the statistics. In the US, it's actually 5 years of difference. So women in the US are getting 5 years older than men. But women also have their unique financial needs. Women hold a large portion of the student debt. 50% of the Dutch graduates are women, so that's about 50% of the student debt. You can imagine 11 billion is held by females. However, when they enter the workforce, and although there were very positive stories today with Unilever and Aegon having an equality pay model, it's still visible that sometimes there's a wage gap. And on average, this is from every dollar a man gets, 82 cents a woman gets. So for me, I will always remember this example. On November 13th last year, somebody said and called out, let's let all women stop working, because as from November 13th, we don't get paid anymore for the work we do. That's for me a very simple example to make it count. And the pay gap is even made larger due to the fact that women take more time away than from work to tend to family, further putting pressure on lifetime earnings. All of this means that women need more financial education, more investment advice, and more assets in retirement. According to findings from another report of ourselves, we have many of those reports, sorry to bother you with it, but it's really interesting that only 3 in 10 women are projected to be financially on track for a retirement age of 67, 68. And 54% of females, compared to 36% of males, trail their retirement needs by 4 times pay or more. Female employees are therefore less well prepared for retirement than their male counterparts, because their retirement needs are larger on average and resources smaller. Needs are larger for females because female employees have longer life expectancy. Female compensation is also lower, as already indicated, due to the fact that they've often work part-time and have not built up the appropriate retirement savings. In some countries, even like the US, the medical needs for women are representing a larger burden for women to actually financially pay for than for men, and must be funded over those longer retirement periods as well. Now, in all, resources are smaller for women because lower compensation leads to lower saving rates and lower retirement plan balances. So what do wise women do? And so I think that the majority of you will hopefully have done this, whether you're an employee or an independent contractor. I would like to make sure that all of you are aware and make your counterparts, your friends, your family, your female colleagues aware of the following. Please take a look at your finances actively. Start doing it today. And wise women are saving enough for retirement and are therefore taking some of the following actions. They manage their affairs for today, their affairs for a rainy day, and their affairs for that other one amazing day. They save an average of 12% pay in addition to what their employers are providing. That's just that's an estimate, but it's really that you make sure that you really start saving money for when you're retiring. Also, there's a choice for each and every one of us to work for companies with more robust retirement plans. And also set your own retirement saving goal. Be aware of what you get when you retire. So look up whether it's the pension, internet sites, etc. But make sure you're aware of what you get. So just personally, I discovered that when I retire, I get half of my current salary. Now I have a very good salary, so I won't complain. But still, if you're not aware of what you're getting net when you retire, you're not familiar how to manage your affairs accordingly. And apparently women are much less educated than men to be aware of this. So I think that it's not only us individuals who can do the things we need to do, but it's also the employers. So also call out to your employers to help women address their financial well-being, because the well-being for women is different than men. This can be done by educating women on their retirement needs and strategies they can use to secure their financial future. By creating plans that consider women's unique career paths and help potential plans for shortfalls. Addressing system gender issues such as women in leadership and gender pay gaps. So what are my key takeaways? We've had a whole morning, and some of you even spent already some days talking about diversity, inclusion, etc. We've identified over the past years, also in Dutch society, that there is a need for more diversity and inclusion. Various facts and reports show that this has a positive impact for organization and improves well-being. Issues such as the gender pay gap have been identified and acknowledged. We've identified that while we want more women in board roles, the 30% we aim for is only achieved in non-executive supervisory board roles. The capability of leadership is in various studies amongst men and women still attributed more to men than to women. There's, however, not only a gender pay gap, there's also a retirement saving gap. Women have saved less. This leads to a continuation of an unbalanced and in my opinion, undesirable situation, especially in the Netherlands. The majority of women will remain financially dependent on men. Cultural, this will have an impact on the behaviors of our next generations, as regrettably not many female role models are in place. Organizations, whether it's a small company, a big company, or an individual, should going forward manage their talent based on unbiased equality. This also implies a duty of care towards female employees' financial well-being. This as female employees will need to save more for retirement than male employees because women have a longer life expectancy. Also, as female workers typically earn less and spend more time out of the workforce on average than their male peers, leaving them with less retirement savings. All of the above factors imply that female employees typically will need to save more or retire later than their male peers. So ladies, I'm calling out on yourself to really make sure that you act on this. As self-care is giving the world the best of you instead of what is left of you. Don't gamble on your future. Act now without delay. Good luck. So yeah, my mic was, is my mic still? Yeah, my mic.
Okay.
Anyone has questions?
Yes.
Oh, go on. Freedom.
Okay. Okay, hi, I'm Dimfna again. Actually, I do think about my future, and I do think about all these things that you're saying, and I actually, in my mastermind group, I actually address this whole point to my fellow ladies. The thing is what do you do? Let's say I've saved money. You don't get anything on the bank. As a matter of fact, we're going towards maybe a negative thing. What to do with money? Who's to trust? what to do. I have no
so
idea.
I'm not a bank.
I know,
But,
but this is just, for
good
anybody,
question.
what
Fair
to
question.
do.
No.
Who are we going to trust?
No, but I think so first and foremost, I think that this whole conference, so I call it like preaching for the converted. Huh?
Yeah.
We are, I think the bigger message I'm trying to convey, one, is making sure that people are aware of this, because we always talk about gender pay gap, but the retirement pay gap is actually quite bigger one, also because we live a lot longer. So it's something not many people are aware of, so that's one. Second, what can we do about it? As I said, it's managing your finances today, that you know what you have and then know what you can save for that rainy day and for that big day. But also go to a financial planner, sit down, take a look, what's your situation on your mortgage, take a look and what I notice in the Netherlands is what I call the vicious circle, and I'm really, really serious about this one. So we talk a lot about diversity, inclusion, but here, and we discussed today, why is it not progressing? There's still a very cultural undertone in society that women should be taking care home. And if we're not financially independent, however can I stand up and be myself or make the choices I would like to make without being depending on men? So I've always done this, but even myself, I want to make sure that you're also, so I'm working in insurance. I know something about pensions and I've studied this and done those exams, but it's really tough. So it's a very, very difficult topic. And the circumstance in the market with the zero interest rate, the pension funds who are having troubles, is really creating a very unstable kind of risk. And so I'm just telling you, be aware of the risk, and manage what you can manage. There are things which you're depending on, which you can't influence, the interest rates, but there's still something you can manage, is being aware of what the situation is and timely act on it. And that you can do that with, back to your question, with banks, financial planners of banks, wealth management companies, if you're already wealthy. But also go to an insurance company and ask them to take a look what solutions are available. And because the audience is so extremely diverse here today, also from a geographical perspective, there are people from Australia. You really need to sit down locally to take a look what the local solutions and products are, which your banks, insurance companies, and agents are able to provide. But my call is just be aware of it. And the funny part is that in the Netherlands, nobody seems to be aware of this. So what's happening here, we talk about leadership and female leadership. And the majority of our children are growing up in families where the female is dependent on the man for the finances, also when they're retired. And it's a cultural vicious circle. And I don't think that if we're able to address all these issues, and so there are parallel ways to do this, and I believe in at the end of the day, we create an environment where at least the awareness is there. And, I spoke to Poonam, who really wants to make sure things are happening, and I believe in that, Poonam. I think that, but the point is, you can only make it happen if people actually are aware so that they start doing it. But companies can take a proactive role in the benefit schemes to offer those tailored solutions to female employees. So definitely, if you have any female employees around you or millennials, I would tell my daughter, are you aware of this and what would you do? Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else?
I think there's a tremendous I can speak louder. Yeah. I think there's a tremendous taboo to speak about money with women. I mean,
Good point.
I like finance, so I like to talk about money, but I see most people don't. So or it's too boring, or I'd rather talk about something else. But it's so important, and it's so important that we start early, because that's compound interest, and it's our friend. And we just have to realize that. But it's actually a lot more simple than we think. And there's a lot of literature out there for all women to really read on it, and it's so important for me. So it's really in my heart, and thanks for sharing this.
Yeah, but you've raised a very good point. So this is really true. In all the research you see about this topic, and I also looked at the research from the Commonwealth Bank. That's what Australian, you said it, yeah. And they raised this topic too. That talking about money is still everybody. So just, and I want to raise it in another example. So the student debt is this high in the Netherlands at the moment. And Dutch millennials talk about everything, but they don't want to talk about their debt. But what you see is back to entrepreneurship, and there's some number of you guys are entrepreneurs, I know, that this debt is also keeping millennials away from becoming entrepreneurs, because they go for companies which offer them stability and a salary based on which they can buy houses. So in the US, the student debt has actually resulted. There used to be 20 years ago, 35% of the people went after university became entrepreneurs. This has decreased to 18%. And also of the millennials, 60% consider themselves an entrepreneur, and only 4% actually are. So that has a huge impact on people. So back to women, and also this whole financial well-being is important. But if you talk about this topic myself, so when I wrote down, I had to talk about financial well-being. But I think also the well-being of women in general in the workforce. If you look at the topics I was raising, health, we do have some different health issues than men. We truly have, and we don't want to discuss it often because it feels a little bit, but we definitely have some different, I'm over 50, and I definitely have some different things to handle now than when I was 25. And so I'm not afraid to talk about it anymore, but I realize it is like it is. So then there is also the social part, because I was on the table, I said, we strive for perfection, while men strive for excellence. And so strive. And this is what Matt Busby, he's the former chairman of Manchester United. England used to sponsor Manchester United. He always said, don't strive for perfection, strive for excellence. Because and I'm still a believer in making the impossible possible, but, do it also for yourself. Make it manageable.
Okay, I think we need to move on now, unfortunately, because I could talk about this stuff all day. Please put your hands together for Marguerite.